Greetings from Salty Mitten Adventures. I'm Mackenzie, and this is Hannah. Join us on our year-long adventure as we cruise America's Great Loop on our Ranger Tug. Welcome back. My name's Mackenzie.
I'm Hannon.
And we are the captains of Salty Mitten.
The co-captains?
Co-captains. Yeah, co-captains.
I like that.
Of Salty Mitten, our boat, which is currently located in Tellico Lake Marina over in Tennessee. It is that location was the closest we could get while on the Great Loop to get back to our dirt house, which is located in western North Carolina, a small town called Old Fort, which is about 40 minutes east of Asheville. But it's been nice being home. We're here for about 10 days total.
Yeah, we've been here about a week. A lot of yard work because the trees are all giving us things to do with the leaves, of course, but it's very pretty here. And it's nice. You know, you get away from your house, and sometimes, for us anyway, I forget how much I like it here. So that was nice. And kind of gave us the opportunity to reflect. So we figured that we'd create a short video that discusses comparing and contrasting, I guess, big boats versus small boats, because that is the difference between most loopers and us is we're a little younger, and we have a smaller boat in general. And so those are we'll take that smaller boat thought process and just use some talking points to, from based on what we've seen so far. We're 1,500 miles in, so maybe we change some things later, but currently we've got some things that we think advantage a small boat and some things that advantage a large boat based on interactions with other folks and our own personal experience.
Yeah, so the first talking point is going to be time spent at destinations. All right. So when you own a small boat, specifically a small boat that has an outboard motor, I guess this could also, if you had a medium-sized boat or a little bit larger boat that had, outboard motor, this could qualify for you also. But a small boat with an outboard motor allows us to travel quickly from point A to point B. So what that allows us to do is when we wake up in the morning, say we're at a marina, we can explore the town, we can go to the coffee shops, we can go get breakfast, we can go work out, walk our dog, really appreciate the location that we're at all the way up until usually around lunchtime. And then a lot of times we have lunch at the boat, and then we get underway. So there's probably a 3 to 4 hour savings where we get to enjoy our time at the location that we're at, whether that's at a marina or at anchor. And then we get going after lunch, and we get to our destination within a couple hours because we are a planing boat and we travel at about 30 miles per hour. So I would say that is an advantage to having a small boat that has an outboard motor, just because it does allow you to stay put at your locations a little bit longer due to the speed at which you travel underway. Do you have anything else to add on that?
Well, and there's variations of all this, so please don't take it as like a yes or no answer. We're going to give a check mark to the small boat on this one based on our experience. But we've also met, we've been with 2 couples who have boats that go 11 or 12 miles an hour. And they're going to get somewhere quicker than a full displacement boat that may travel at 6 or 7 miles an hour. So there can be an intermediate ground. And another example, so those are displacement boats that have larger engines in them, so the fuel burn is going to be higher when they do that. But they can, and then you have a boat like a PDQ 34 that can, some of their boats, they put larger diesel engines in and they're still pretty fuel efficient, and they can get into the teens if they want to. So there's varying levels, but for us, we think, for a small planing boat, it is certainly an advantage to get to a destination quickly and spend time at the destination. So if you value that, perhaps you should consider this as an option if you're getting ready to do the loop or some other larger adventure.
Yeah. All right.
I think the second topic we wanted to discuss was comfort while underway. And in general, as you may expect, we give this to the larger boats. We've been on enough of the larger boats that are on the loop now to walk into their living room and go, man, that's nice. And I remember Kenzie got asked a question from one of the spouses who said, what do you do while underway? And she's like, well, if I'm captaining, then I'm paying attention all the time to driving. And, if I'm not captaining, then I'm sitting across from the captain and helping pay attention while driving. So it's engaging, which does make the time go by, and the time is much shorter while underway. But as far as the underway experience, it is certainly not as relaxing as I believe that you would be in a large boat.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We could still do some of the things, right? We cook while we're underway. We will usually come off a plane to do that. So we'll slow down to displacement speeds for certain times.
A lot of times we do. We slow down to displacement speed in order to cook lunch, and sometimes breakfast too, depending if we're going to have a bigger day and we are trying to get out of a location a little quicker in the morning. We'll go at about 67 miles per hour and cook breakfast, and do the same thing at lunchtime. But in general, you're focused, because if you hit something, it's going to be a catastrophic event.
It can be, I guess, but
yeah, if you hit like something important, it would be a catastrophic event. Yeah. All right, the next talking point is going to pertain to marinas. So this is kind of it's a combination. It's both fees as well as ease of reservation. So when you are on a smaller boat, we'll talk ease of reservation first, actually. So when you're on a smaller boat, our hull is 27 feet. Our length overall with the swim platform and outboard engine is 30. Most slips can accommodate us, which is really nice. So we were in, Muscle Shoals, Florence, Alabama.
Florence.
Yeah.
It's just on the other side of the Tennessee River from Muscle Shoals.
Yeah. So we were in Florence, Alabama, and they had a concert going on. One of our videos showed us that we went to the marina, went to the concert. We were the only boat that was able to get a reservation at that marina, and that is because, one, it was filled up because of the concert, but two, one of their resident boats sunk, and then they got it out of the water, and we were able to occupy that slip, and that slip was a 30-foot slip. So as far as advantages for ease of marinas, I would say smaller boats apply. The advantage would go to a smaller boat.
Yeah, I think any given marina has X amount of reservations available. If you're smaller, you open yourself up to the availability of more slips.
You do. And then that parlays also into just overall fees in which you're going to spend when you get to these marinas, right? So most marinas are by the foot. So it's $1 per foot, $2 per foot, some 86 cents per foot, right? It can vary in all shapes and sizes, but it's per foot. Every once in a while, we'll find ourselves at a location where they just charge an overall price, but that is few and far between.
Maybe twice.
Yeah, twice. It's been like $45 or $50 or something like that, and it didn't matter the size of your boat. But if you're in a smaller boat, you're going to pay less money at the end of the day. And that's just, I would say, as far as the finance part of it for this particular topic, the advantage would go to the smaller boat.
For sure. And we have now we're in the middle of the cheapest part of the loop, and so it will become only financially more important the further we go. Obviously, because if you're paying $3 a foot, then the delta between a 30-foot boat and a 45-foot boat grows.
It does.
So,
yeah,
totally. So that's advantage small boat for sure. The next one that we're going to talk about is weather safety. We had a tough time kind of quantifying this. So this is actually, we kind of have two paths for this topic. The first is the ability to go fast to get out of the way. And we believe that advantage is small boats. We've seen this happen before, and that can present itself either with, let's say you have a small weather window in the morning and you take it and you get somewhere and you're complete before weather occurs, or there isn't necessarily a small weather window. You're more certain of a given forecast and weather in a shorter period of time. And we've seen that happen, I think, several times, even on Lake Michigan.
Great Lakes are a great example.
Where we were able to move when we wanted before something happened. Or, we were into somewhere by noon and the weather changed in the afternoon or late afternoon, and other folks that were slower than us had to deal with those weather challenges. So I think from that perspective, a small boat has an advantage from a smaller, faster boat. However, if you are in a position where the weather is less than ideal, then larger boat offers more confidence, depending on the style of boat, more confidence, the ability to cross water that perhaps has larger waves or whatever it may be, may handle wind better as well. We get blown around a little bit. We have noticed that when the wind is strong, it moves the boat.
Yeah, our beam's 8.5 feet, which is very small, really.
So fast and small beam, narrow beam, that's kind of what you get. So I think the advantage of if you are in challenging weather, the advantage certainly goes to a larger boat. So I think you probably adapt your planning based on the type of boat you have. So we choose those weather windows, and we don't travel in weather that others do travel in, and we've noticed that, right? If it's 5 to 10, absolutely. If it's 10 to 15, we're thinking hard. If it's 10 gusting to 20, we're probably not going. And there's a lot of factors, obviously, that change into that. And to be quite honest, I think it'll be interesting to analyze this later once we've spent a lot of time in the Gulf and the Atlantic, because those conditions will be different. We had our 250 miles of Lake Michigan as a starter, but as we have more time exposed, it'll be interesting to see how that it has. But currently, we'd say this is kind of a check mark based on time and based on conditions for either a small boat or a large boat.
The next talking point is going to be Anchorage availability. So most of the time, if you have a smaller boat, you are going to draft less than larger boats. That is the case with ours right now. So when we have the engine fully down, what are we, 36 inches? 34.
Yep.
We draft 34 inches with the engine fully down. We typically travel with it at like 3 chicklets up, so just a little bit trimmed up. But if the engine's all the way up out of the water, we draft 18 inches, correct? So that allows us to be able to get into skinny water a little easier. And if you run aground, right? If we were to go into skinny water to try to find a very secluded anchorage, and we were to touch bottom, it would not be the worst, providing it's not rocks. So I would say smaller boats, probably we would give the advantage to the smaller boats as far as anchorages are concerned, the availability, and that's just based on the draft. I don't know if you have anything else to add regarding that.
I think there's a horsepower element to it too, right? You have a small boat that doesn't weigh much, it doesn't draft much, so if you do put it in the mud, not the rocks would be bad.
Rocks are bad.
Rocks are But if you put it in the mud, you can back out of it. We've had that happen a couple of times.
We had it happen in a marina.
Where they put us in a small slip because we were little. But it was really skinny.
Yeah.
I think also, there's a level of seclusion that you can get. Like we've had several places where multiple boats have anchored out. We've been able to be kind of significantly forward of where the other boats anchored out.
Like the Hidden Island.
Yeah. And we, it's interesting. It's definitely something we thought about, just like many of you may be doing. We watched a lot of YouTube before we bought our boat and before we thought about the Great Loop. Expedition Sea Nest. There's a couple who's not on the loop, but they do a lot of cruising in both the Bahamas and in Canada. So Georgian Bay. I think their boat's registered in Ontario, but they've got a 25-foot Ranger tug. It's the same color as ours. Probably the reason why we got the color we did. But they routinely put their boat in places that bigger boats couldn't go, in both of those locations, and particularly Georgian Bay. They've got videos out right now that you can tell they're secluded because they can be because of their size, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Check mark for advantage does go to smaller boat.
Yeah. Next topic is fuel economy. Smaller boat, advantage fuel economy in general. Certainly a smaller slow boat seems to have a fuel economy advantage. We've met folks who have the original Ranger tugs. So the smaller Ranger tugs all went to outboards in 2017, 2018. But before that, they had inboard diesels. So if you're on one of those 25,
Or 27.
27 Ranger tugs with that diesel, you're making beautiful fuel economy. You're not going fast.
And your tank's like what, 80? I think their tank is
I think a 25 is 80.
Yeah, I think it's
right.
80 gallons, but they're getting like 3.6.
Well, sometimes 6 miles.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, they are.
Yeah.
It just depends.
I think standard was like 3.6, and then in certain currents they were getting up to 6.
So you kind of
miles per
have
gallon, which is huge.
Yeah, so you kind of have these, I guess, stratification. A small slow boat makes beautiful fuel economy, right? A big slow boat, depending on the type of boat, can make wonderful fuel economy. So like the Katie Krogan 48 that our friends have makes wonderful fuel economy at 6 knots or 6 or 7 knots, right? And then, at the upper end of that, what you have is small planing boats like us and large boats with large engines. The majority of the boats that we have interacted with on the loop are older, larger boats with larger engines, either dual gas or dual diesels, and they're big diesel engines. And so so I would say in general, obviously, a small planing boat, we will not make the fuel economy of a small, slower boat. And we're probably not going to make the fuel economy of a larger, full displacement, slow boat.
Right.
But these, the majority that we've run into, the older, so like a Grand Bank style boat that has large engines is going to burn more fuel than us. We've discussed maintenance in general, but one of the reasons why we stay on plane a lot is because of the engine hour window. And so in essence, we have to pull the boat out of the water every 100 hours, but our 100 hours at 30 miles an hour takes a lot longer to get to than 100 hours on another boat, or if we were going to do it at 6 miles an hour. So we lose fuel economy because we're on plane. And others make better fuel economy, but others also make worse fuel economy. Yeah. So I feel like it's a check mark probably for both, depending on what type of boat you're going to get.
And I would say if you're in the research phase right now of what boat that you want to get to do the Great Loop, really pay attention to the fuel economy. You don't want to get a boat that you can afford, but then you can't afford the gas. Right. So we've had that conversation because we're in marinas a lot and we see all these big boats, and some people let us on their big boats, and that's a lot of fun. And
we look at the living room
and we look at the living room like, oh, it's like Hundo. But and you watch YouTube videos and you see these big cruisers and you're like, wow, I can afford that boat, but can you afford the gas? So just make sure that the fuel economy makes sense for your budget, makes sense for the size fuel tank that the boat is carrying. If you're getting a really big boat and it's got 1,000 gallons of fuel, if you can afford the boat, great. Can you afford that other chunk of money it's going to cost in order to fill up those tanks every time, especially if you're getting less than 1 mile per gallon? That could become a financial burden, but depends on each individual person's money situation.
Yeah, and the gas versus diesel thing's interesting too.
That varies.
Well, it does vary. I thought gas was always going to be more expensive than diesel. I think it is probably generally more expensive than diesel,
but very state dependent.
But sometimes the difference is small. Sometimes gas is cheaper. So it's so far it's just all over the board, and it's pretty hard to predict. And we try to plan around it. We will call ahead and plan ahead to get the cheapest fuel, and others do the same thing as well. Obviously, if you have a big tank, you have a lot more flexibility for that, right? You could buy and in bulk once, at some point and get the best price. We have less flexibility than that, but
we still call ahead because cities can vary quite a bit also. So you might find yourself in a marina plentiful city that's got 5 or 6 options, and when you call ahead, I mean, it could be $1 difference, which if you're filling up your whole tank, which ours is 150 gallons, that's $150 mistake if you choose the wrong marina.
And then they also have, this is separate, but there's Boat US and AGLCA, probably at half of the marinas that we filled up at.
Yeah, it's good portion.
Can be 10 cents off a gallon.
10 cents seems to be the standard.
It does, which adds up. Yeah. I mean, it adds up for us at 150. I can only imagine
just right there.
Filling up 1,000 gallon
Yeah.
tank for that, So
That's $100.
Yeah.
I think that's the math, right?
for us,
No, if you're 1,000 tanks.
I don't know,
It's $15 for us.
but it adds up for sure.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, you're better at math.
The next talking point is going to be maintenance costs. So again, this very much depends on the type of boat that you're going to look into, but we'll explain the rationale that we had regarding maintenance costs and the type of boat that we chose because of this topic. So for us, our boat is a smaller boat, it is a newer boat, and it is an outboard engine. So that provides a significant amount of benefits when it comes to maintenance costs. Currently, our only maintenance costs are our 100-hour services.
Which we didn't plan for it
We
very
didn't plan
well,
for 'em,
so it hurt, but it exists.
Right, it exists. But larger boats also have to do 100-hour services, maybe at a different interval that I'm not aware of. But a smaller, newer outboard engine is a simpler boat at the end of the day. So we have a 6-year warranty on our engine. When we get down to Edgewater Yachts, which is where we purchased it in Pensacola, Florida, we have a couple little ticky-tack stuff that they're going to help us fix and take care of, because we also have a bumper-to-bumper warranty on the whole boat for 2 years. So that provides us who are not maintenance inclined.
I am not.
Yeah, we both aren't. But we know we've learned on the fly, like with the bow thruster stuff. But we're not doing any services to our outboard engine personally. And that, I think, was just an absolute benefit, because there's nothing really there to break based on the type of outboard engine that it is, being a Yamaha, and the reliability that comes with that type of engine. Yeah, I mean, what else would you say regarding that?
Well, so I mean, the boat is simpler. There are advanced systems,
Yeah.
right? You could say, using all lithium is advanced, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you don't have a generator because of that.
Right, so that's one other engine that could break or could fail on you.
And then, based on everything we know and have read anyway, the reliability of modern 4-stroke engine is very good
very
compared
high,
to how
yeah.
it used to be. And so you can get away with having a single engine, particularly on the loop, right? I mean, I grew up with going offshore fishing in catamarans with dual engines, and I am very surprised that I own a single engine boat. But in this case, there's only one mechanical unit instead of 3, right? If we had twins with a generator, you would have 3 engines. You would have 3 times the amount of maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 through holes on the boat. So, to have places that water can't get into because it's an outboard is advantageous for sure. So simplicity of systems, the newness of the systems,
And the warranty because of...
and the warranty that goes with
Yeah.
that. Just it feels
It's a
good.
peace of mind.
It
Yeah.
feels good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've had to do our bow thruster dance, but compared to others, it seems that we're doing a lot less maintenance. So what do people do who have these older boats that have 3 engines, including the generator, on them? In general, what we've noticed is the couples who have the older boats, in general, have a maintenance background. They do a lot of their own work. I think almost without fail that's happened. You know, and maybe that's probably part of their decision-making process.
Right, it makes sense for them because they understand it.
Yeah, and they feel confident that they'll be able to fix things. I don't. We can troubleshoot. We can probably.
But we're bringing it to a maintenance tech.
Yeah, without. I mean, I'm sure if we had one of the older boats, we could change our own oil.
Yeah.
But if you want me to mess with the timing of an engine, then
I married the wrong
you
guy.
got the wrong guy. Yeah.
So I would say the green check mark falls under the specific category of smaller, newer outboard engine boats. We would give the green advantage check mark to that particular category.
So far.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully it stays that way. Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
Next one.
Crap, what was my topic? I think it was, it's flexibility of schedule. That was kind of a cool one that we had talked about recently. So this is there's 2 parts to this. Flexibility of schedule, and the fact that if you have a smaller, faster boat, that you can do this thing faster if you want to. We don't want to. I'm not talking about faster during the day. I'm talking about months, right? So if you want to do this thing in 6 months, you can make the weather work because of where you start, then
you can do that.
You could do that,
Yeah.
right? You could absolutely do that. And then the other part is if something derails your plans, whatever that may be. So somebody gets sick,
Family emergency.
something happens. It always seems to be family emergencies that come up, right? It would be easier to haul and store this boat or a boat like it. A kind of our plan would be currently truck and trailer is in Michigan. We'd convince Phil, father-in-law, to drive down with truck and trailer, and we'd pull boat out ourselves. So we have that option if we needed to do that, or if we so chose to do that.
Yeah.
I think to haul the boat and to store it is available to most all boats, but it would certainly cost more money, and it would be more difficult, and the trailer option wouldn't be there. And so I think that lends probably an advantage to the smaller boat. Yep. For sure. If
agree.
you have to make a change, or if you want to do this thing faster because you've taken a sabbatical and you got to go back to your job or whatever it may be.
Or your kid's wedding is, in the month of X, and you only have those 7 months to do it.
Whatever it may be,
Yeah.
I think you could absolutely
make the weather
pull it
work
off.
and pull it off. Yeah,
For sure.
cold.
Yeah, so like fall's here. Those mountains back there had snow on them this morning. That's Mount Mitchell in the background is the highest. So this is Pisgah National Forest. That's across the way right there. It looks like it's real close, but it's probably 20 miles as the crow flies. Something like that. But yep, there was snow. So there's that.
All right.
We got 2 more topics to talk about. The first is storage space. As you would imagine, a bigger boat has an advantage here. Currently, it hasn't caused us much concern as to how much storage space we have because resupply is so readily available. So I don't foresee it being a challenge until if we were to go to the Bahamas.
Yep.
Right. And then, maybe as you get up into Canada, into Georgian Bay and that kind of area, you really have to do some planning to get out of it. But right now we could resupply whenever we want. And that's kind of cool. I mean, you still got to work it out, but,
yeah. And you may pay more for those frequent resupplies, right? Because you may be, resupplying at, Dollar Generals, local convenience stores, paying money for like a Walmart Plus subscription to have people deliver your groceries.
Yeah.
When you could go to Costco, which is what a lot of boaters who have big boats do. They'll do like a Costco run, and they asked us like, "Do you want anything from Costco?" I'm like, "All of our storage is for dog food, so no." Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we did pull some things off the boat when we came back here. We pulled some clothes off. Those things that we had and didn't use, we modified a little bit to give ourselves a little more space. So, of course, there's more space on a big boat. We had the folks that we traveled up the Tennessee River with. I mean, think of all the stuff they had inside and outside their boat. They had the travel size Traeger pellet grill. Which we were like,
we've had one of those,
so
and they're great.
Cool. The barbecue pit, their electric bikes. They had their full-size dinghy
with
center console,
winch and ink.
Yeah. So of course that's one of the reasons why you would get a bigger boat, to have all that stuff. But I think having a background in camping, adventure camping, we know that we can have fewer things and we can have smaller things, and it doesn't particularly affect,
doesn't detract from the experience,
our lifestyle. Yeah, I don't think it's different. And if those things are valuable to you, or you've never done that before and you don't really want to, then a bigger boat is definitely the consideration. So storage for sure, but it hasn't affected our journey as of yet.
Yep. So green check mark goes to the big boats.
That's
for sure. That's
absolutely.
for sure. All right, last topic we're going to talk about is going to be ease of use, and that's going to pertain to kind of two locations. That's marinas and that's locks. So
Locking and docking.
Locking and docking. We don't really have any issues at the end of the day. Outside of like random wind hurting us and us still being slightly inexperienced, locking and docking is a very smooth process for us. You know, we explained our dock lines and our fenders that we use in our last video regarding equipment, but that whole setup process takes like 90 seconds to 2 minutes when you're going into a lock. We just kind of bump along when we're in the locks. We don't have any issues. We've been in locks with big side currents that occur, and yeah, we pull on the ropes a little harder. But in general, we don't feel like we've ever been in a position where we were going to have issues while in the locks. It's a very easy and streamlined process, and also there's not a lot of windage, right? So like where our helm is, we have a lot of visibility. We can see really easy. There's no blind spots. The whole rear of our
we can talk to one another.
yeah,
without
we can talk
headsets,
without screaming. Sometimes we yell at each other,
but that's for a different reason.
yeah, it's sticks in the water.
Because I don't listen.
It sticks in the water. But yeah, so like the locks are very easy for us, and docking is very easy for us also. So when we went to Tellico Marina, which is the marina we currently have our boat at, while we're here back at the house, you know, the gentleman that I talked to who manages the marina was like, "Hey, you guys are showing up on the day that our marina is closed. We will not have anyone to assist you." It's like, well, we don't need any assistance. You know, Hayden backs us into the slip. I hop off, and we tie our boat to the dock, and it's a very easy process. We don't even really deploy fenders when we're going to docks. So we hop out, we get our boat positioned well with our lines, and then we put fenders out. So that whole process has been very easy.
I agree, and that's I think the most stressful thing
For most
in my
people,
opinion.
yeah. Especially if you don't have experience in boating.
Absolutely, you know, haven't been around bigger boats enough to know. I was stressed about that, and it's still the most stressful part, but the amount of stress is much less. So
Yeah.
I think absolutely locking and docking. You know, does that mean that a smaller boat is better for beginner? Maybe.
Yeah, it might
You know,
be.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially if you don't have a lot of experience, right? It's like, it'd be like if you're teaching someone to drive a car. Are you going to use a small sedan, or are you going to hop them right into an 18-wheeler, right? You're going to, ideally, you learn on something that is size manageable for your experience. And if you find that you want to change your comfort level, or you feel like you're graduated to the next level, you know, you want to go from a 30-footer to a 40-footer, or 40-footer to a 55, something like that. I think that's an appropriate time to then upgrade based on gained experience through boating using smaller boats.
And you know, also sometimes we come in these places, whatever they may be, there may be multiple times that you're tying up. So like, you know,
Yeah.
a couple places we have to tie up to the fuel dock to go talk to folks before they'll put us in a slip, and then so you're going to go to the fuel dock, and then you're going to go to the slip, you know, or they change where you're at or whatever that may be. So there might be multiple stops over the course of a short period of time, and with a bigger boat that can be laborious, and it doesn't really matter.
No,
And that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely favor us for locking and docking all day.
Yep, I give the green check mark to smaller boats for ease of for locking and docking.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it. Those are the topics. We're just thinking about it again. You know, we'll keep the door open to change our mind about things as we move down the way. But this is kind of the you know how we've seen it. Compare, contrast, larger boats and smaller boats. Perhaps if you're watching us, you know that is why you are, because you're like, can we do all the things that we want to do in this thing? You know, is that good or bad? You know, so this is just our perspective so far.
Yeah.
May change.
If you have any additional questions regarding kind of the topics that we've talked about today, or any other topics that we didn't talk about, you know,
Besides football, don't bring up football.
LSU's in a rough spot right now.
They're in just internal conflict, but hey, no game this weekend, so that's good.
Anyway, drop a comment in the section below. We make a point to respond to everyone. So I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend, and had a good Halloween and a great start to the Thanksgiving, Christmas time frame.